I know it's been a while since my last devlog and update on the game I've been working on, but there are two main topics that I want to cover in this devlog. First one is that I've been basically rebuilding the entire world and map. The second being about procrastination. Thank you to Southern New Hampshire University for sponsoring this video, but more on that later. First off, I've been working on rebuilding the entire game map and the way the player navigates around it. And it's quite normal. At least I hope so, especially for a new game developer like myself, to constantly iterate and revisit systems we planned in the beginning. In my very first devlogs, I emphasized the fact that I wanted to create a procedurally generated world similar to the levels in a game like Spelunky to ultimately make the game more replayable. And I did get a very rudimentary system working. Essentially, the entire player map was divided into 9 zones, one center town zone, 4 player corner kingdoms, and then 4 in-between nature zones. The player kingdoms would be hand designed and then would be randomly assigned to a corner, and the nature zones would be procedurally generated. And this system worked, but walking around the world felt very disconnected. This sort of tailored procedural generation also made it hard to design the zones, as each zone would basically have to have entrances on all 4 sides, because it could be in any corner. I found it hard to plan other game feature implementations around a map that was never really set in stone. So I never really knew what the world looked like until the game started, which was somewhat cool, but was difficult for a beginner game dev, which I definitely am. And the whole thing kind of felt like a separated sandwich. Weird analogy, I know, but basically I had all of these parts. I had a questing system, player abilities, player leveling, enemy combat, NPC reputations, and other things, but they were all separated. So that's like having everything for a sandwich laid out on the counter. The lettuce, the tomato, the meat, the cheese, but no bread. And if you've never made a sandwich before, like I've never made a game before, it can be hard to visualize a sandwich with all of these separate things just spread out all over the counter. In this analogy, the bread is the game map, since it's procedurally generated. In essence, I needed the bread, aka the foundation, to start linking all of these game features together. And for me, not having a static map was making this much more difficult. So I decided to rebuild the entire campaign map so that I have one area where I can visualize all of these different game features together. Now, I may add some sort of procedural generation in the future, as I think it's really cool, but I'm very focused on getting to a demoable game, and that has been inhibiting the process for me since I am still so new. I originally began designing a map that was much bigger than the procedurally generated one, but then I realized that was going to take an incredibly long time for a single beginner game dev that has a limited amount of time to work on the game, since I would have to fill it with everything: quests, NPCs, monsters, objects, nature, pathing, weather effects, etc. Again, I'm not opposed to a bigger map in a future patch or something, but the goal is to make a demo in the best state as possible, as fast as possible. So I shrunk the world to a size that is much more comfortable. I've already planned out the zones and themes, and for those that don't remember, the whole game revolves around gaining allies and power to defeat rivals after a certain amount of in-game time. I highly encourage checking out my previous devlogs if you're interested in kind of what I'm aiming for. Therefore, I'm much more comfortable creating compelling factions and NPCs in a world that is smaller, given that I don't work on this full time. Ultimately, that's where I'm at with the whole world building situation. And talking about beginner game devs, I'd like to briefly mention this video's sponsor, Southern New Hampshire University. Do you feel like your experience is holding you back from pursuing the career you want, whether that be game dev or otherwise? SNHU has one of the largest accredited nonprofit online degree offerings in the country. They feature over 200 degree programs focused on getting you started or advancing in a career that you'll love. All of SNHU's programs are extremely flexible, no set class times, allowing you to work when and where you want. If you started college and never finished, SNHU will let you transfer up to 90 credits, so you don't have to start over. That's around 75% of a bachelor's degree and 33% of a master's degree. SNHU is extremely affordable. Their online tuition rates are some of the lowest in the nation and haven't increased in 10 years. They also feature an active virtual community of students. You can join clubs, attend mixers, and hang out with other students to get a full college experience online. If you want to kick off a new career or take your current one to the next level, click the link in my description to get more information and browse all of their programs. For those beginner game devs like myself, one program you may like is SNHU's game development program. And game development is a great career to get into. The average game developer salary, according to ZipRecruiter, is $101,644. You'll be able to learn to create realistic, dynamic gameplay experiences featuring things like game AI, physics, 2D and 3D graphics, and interface design. And the courses are taught by industry experts who will teach you how to research, develop, and contribute to advances and trends within the field of game development. Thank you to Southern New Hampshire University for supporting the channel. Next, I briefly want to mention a topic that everyone is probably familiar with: procrastination. Lately, I feel like I've been procrastinating on game development more than previously, which I think a lot of people can relate to, and I think is okay. I'm very glad I didn't do any sort of Kickstarter or Patreon because I knew this might happen. As I mentioned in previous devlogs, in order to avoid side project burnout, I only will work on the game when I really want to. And recently, it's not that I haven't been enjoying the process, I really do, I just have been spending time doing a lot of other things as well. I started playing World of Warcraft more, the new expansion reveal has gotten me hyped. I was also trying to learn React, which is a front-end web development framework to help improve my front-end skills, as well as creating other genres of YouTube videos. Shout out if you are interested in computer science or career advice or college advice, I make videos on that as well, so consider subscribing to the channel, as well as some personal things that I might mention in a future video. So I know the progress is slow, but again, this project is purely for fun, and I don't really have any deadlines, so I want to make sure I'm not adding undue stress to myself. But I also do really want to release a demo because I think that would be super fun to publish and get your guys' feedback. I hope other software developers with side projects can relate. So this is your reminder: if you're working on a project for fun, don't make it another job, unless you actually want that. This is supposed to be fun, so make it fun. And if you notice that you are starting to dread working on it, take some time off and do something else. Although it might impede your short-term progress, it will help your overall long-term burnout. So that's the current state of the game. Please comment down below what you thought of the devlog and any suggestions for content that might be fun in the game or ways to improve, as I'm still a beginner in this whole game development and game design world. Hey, thanks for sticking to the end. Thank you again to Southern New Hampshire University for sponsoring this video, and check out all of their programs with my link in the description below. My name is Michael. We do bad British accents at the end of every video. Check out one of my past videos, and my past self would thank you dearly. And check out one of my future videos, my future self would also thank you dearly. We make college advice, career advice, tech, computer science, game development type videos on this channel. If any of that sounds interesting, consider subscribing. Like this video to help your boy out with the YouTube algorithm. Comment down below any suggestions for future videos you might want to see, whether that's game development, advice videos, career stuff, college stuff, other tech things, anything like that. I'm always open to suggestions. Hopefully I see you in another one. Bye-bye.